Hi.
You always lead. That threw me off.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Ethan.
I'm Jill. If you don't know that by now.
Then you have not been paying attention. It is great to talk to you guys again. How are you? How are your weeks going? So only some of you answer this question. Like, we really mean it. When you hear it, pull over and answer us. Send us a message on the podcast. Talk to us. We actually want to know how you doing.
Yeah. We're not just talking to ourselves
Like,
out
we
here.
see that we're averaging like 200 plays an episode or so right now. So like,
Where's the comments?
there's got to be comments from some people. But we love you guys. Welcome back. This week, a little spicy, mostly like storytelling. Not in that way. Take a breath. If you were on our TikTok live, it's not one of those.
It's like PG.
Yeah, no.
Education.
We got asked a couple of good questions, and people do often want to know, especially as Jill and I, share more, how we came to the spaces that we're in, how we came to be the beings that we are, in the lifestyle that is vanilla and work, and in the lifestyle that is not so vanilla and not so work. Well, it's kind of still work for me, but that's a different topic for another day.
Do you have a joy before we get in?
No hards? Are we going to go joy
do
first?
Hard first?
Where have
I'm
you
new
been?
here. I'm new here, apparently. What's your hard?
It's Monday. It's Monday. This is apparently about to be a Monday.
What's your hard?
Is that it's Monday. No, hard. Hard is I'm starting to feel the want to be out of this house now. I want to move now. Now that we know we have to move, it's hard to be still here, just be staying put. Tonight I want to go. My ADHD, now that I have a thing, I want to go do it. And it's hard to sit still and try to carry on like nothing's about to be uprooted. I don't like having to wait for change. Mm-hmm. And it's really, it's fucking hard on my system in a time where my brain's obviously not okay if you've been paying attention. Darlene's birthday was last week, and that was the hardest week for me for that. That's been really tough, but also just the fallout from that, the flashbacks that I've been going through have been attacking my ability to connect with people, and in the ways that are relatively easy for me to do. So that's been hard in this waiting on change and needing to grow and change in other ways, and not, you know what I mean? It's hard to work on shit when you're about to be uprooted and you know it. There's it doesn't mean I'm not going to work. I have to. I've got shit to do. We were busy anyway, so I will figure it out. But it's hard to do when it's going to be uprooted. I want to get into a new space so I can commit to just letting this shit go and then working on it. So that's just the uncomfortable, the hard I'm sitting in right now. Bless you.
I think we're done. Yeah, I would second your heart. I think it's a weird limbo of I know that I need to be better with my workouts and my nutrition, but it feels, and this is not a true statement. I would tell my clients this is not a true statement, but it feels pointless in air quotes to do it now. Similar to you, yeah. I think same but different. Yeah. Of why would I bother when we're just going to move in 2 weeks, which is dumb.
I'm also in the space with my body. We've talked about this together, but yeah.
I have 2 weeks that I could be doing the things. But yeah, my brain gets weird in stressful times, and moving is a weird stress for me. And I limbo between I need to do everything right now and there's no need to do anything. Bless this man for not throwing me out a window the last 2 weeks, because I really limbo between I was I'm liquidating the whole house, I'm selling the couches, I'm getting rid of everything. And then I was wait, that's dumb. We have an extra living space to furnish in our new house, we're going to need those couches. And then I almost bought a new couch. Then I was that's dumb, because then we're going to have to move it twice. So Ethan's just watched me
Ethan doesn't do well with I need consistency, not certainty. Consistency. I can deal with you being down here. I can deal with you being up here. It's because I can match you. I can be there. But when you do this, the thing.
Yeah, like I was like, I'm gonna buy this couch, and Ethan was like, sure, buy a couch, like do your thing. Like you're right, that's a big couch for not a lot of dollars. And then literally like an hour later, I was like, that's dumb. Why am I buying a couch? We're just gonna have to move it twice. And he was like, I know, but like he also just has to let me get there myself. Because if he was like, that's dumb, don't buy a couch, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm buying a couch. So he just has to like like I was like, I'm selling our couches. He was like, sure, sell the couches. And I was like, I'm not selling the couches. And he was like, yeah. So he's just been sitting here being like, wait for it. She'll circle back. She'll get there eventually. But yeah, it's been a lot of like, I'm doing this thing. That's actually a dumb thing. I'm not going to do that. But it's also checks for me in like my I need to fix it brain of like, even though moving's not a thing I need to fix, I'm just like, okay, do the extremes of everything to like make it easier. But like, it's fine. Couches can come with us. I don't need to liquidate our whole house just so I have to rebuy a whole house. That's silly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And like it's not that fun. Like I say this as lighthearted and joked, like it's also my hard because like it's annoying for me to deal with too in my own brain of like
yeah. You're a passenger sometimes when your process is your own. Everybody has them in every way. We all process shit a different way. That no shit. Cool. I'm saying that not yeah, okay. No, but like really listen to me. When I say that, it's because like you have to go through it, especially neurospicy. Neurospicy adults have created, most of us, a process that may not work for other people. We do this a lot with the way that we process things. Because for us, it's like, God damn, you're wasting energy. And for her, it's the same shit at me. Like, you're wasting energy over here when you should be over here. You should be doing this over here. It's this thing, because my process works for me. It's how I navigate problems. Hers works for her. Those two statements are factual. When you do life with people, those are still factual statements, but we're no longer doing life as individuals. So parts of my process have to work for Jill, and parts of her process have to work for me. It's the communication portion of life. But when we don't come together that way is when we have the hardest time navigating those moments, because our individual way we process this shit just bucks against the other one. So while it is funny, like it took us practice at butting heads when it was our processing of a thing that was no, we love each other. We're trying to do it, but we're not, because we can't see through the lens of the other person's process. So when Jill starts doing this shit, I just have to like ejectocito, cuz, and chill over here. Because if I get involved and invested early, it ruins it for both of us, because her process does not work with mine. So I have to let her go through hers while I chill here and silently go through mine, which is, I love you. You're right. No. Thank you for admitting I was right. Thank you. I don't know, you're dead ass right I was, but I'm just going to say, no, I know. I love you too. Oh, we're back. What happened? It's
like,
just like it's not worth it.
Like right after we found out we had to move, I was like, cool, can we take the stuff in the garage to the dump? And Ethan's like, why wouldn't we just make one dump run when we're done moving? I was like, because there's things that can go right. Like my brain goes to like, what can I do right now? But like it's not always the correct order of operations. It's just like that panic of like, I need to do something so I feel like I have control over the situation, and then I sit with it for a second. I'm like, that's not the thing. So what did I do instead? Cleaned out my closet. And that
control what you can
was the correct order of operations.
Fuck, if you've been following my mission for the whole time, like one of my earliest videos was control what you can. This is during COVID. It was when nobody had an understanding of what was going on around them and we all couldn't do anything. I was like, fuck, stop stressing about the thing and do what you can for yourself. And that was it, like breaking it down to one more common denominator is I need control of something. Well, then take it to control of your shit. You need to do it anyway. Fuck, she's made money just because that decision was made. Like both things that were stressing her out were solved by one more bit of long division. To break it down one step further, you do still get your control, but now you're also not butting heads with my ability to be like, yo, we got time. So yeah, like
So
it's a beautiful balance and juggling act. It's been the easiest bit of hard with this person, and even with Brian. Hi, Brian. He's on vacation. We miss him there. I really hate my people going away. I love that you have lives, but like I miss I like days. He was 6 hours, and I was like, oh, he's not coming back. Fuck. Like I didn't like I sat there with the game with the fucking controller in my hand, and I was like, Brian's not even coming home. I don't even get to. I don't like that. So that's fun. I'm 5.
if you want to buy my clothes, you can find me on Poshmark. Jill Sanford, 2 A's.
I probably have some Oilers gear people can buy since I can't support them. Anyways, joy. My joy is that we got our fucking I haven't told anybody, but really no. I said we've been looking, but I'm the kind of person that won't really commit to celebrating the moment until the keys are in my hand. But we got approved for the space that we really wanted. It is everything that we need in a home to build a home and to build a space for Brian, Jill, and me, whoever comes into our lives for in the foreseeable future. Yeah, it's just everything we wanted in another home. And so we were very excited. So the joy was being confirmed that we are going to get to move in the next month and into a space that's going to be very good for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yesterday, I got our utilities switched over and looked at tenant insurance and did a couple things to be like, okay, this is actually happening. Bless systems that make it my joy is companies that make it easy to change your shit. We're with Park Power for our utilities, and the way you just go on their website, click your cancellation date, then they literally say are you planning to use our services at your new house? You click yes, you put your address in, put a requested start date, and then it's literally cool, processing request. I didn't have to pick up the phone, I didn't have to send an email. It was literally just boop 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 boop, done. So a weird, I guess, a joy that still makes sense. Just the simple process of not having to wait on hold, not having to talk to somebody, not having to answer questions.
Not having
And
to talk to
it was
someone.
such an ADHD tism win because if I have to make a phone call, it's going to take me 5 business days to do it versus it's done and it took me 5 minutes. So that's nice. Yeah, and just feels good to start the process.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, just cool. I'm excited, beyond excited. I really hope and am genuinely excited to get the keys a few days early and be able to start the process and not have to move in today, and just be able to take over our home. Make it a home as we move in instead of being forced to unpack after. You know what I mean. The process seems easier to do as we go. This week we are going semi spicy and mostly to tell you guys how we got here. In this space, myself as a dominant and Jill as a submissive and a brat. Um, yeah, we get asked the question a lot. How did you know you were dominant? How did you become a dominant? How did you know you were bratty? How did you know you're submissive? Whatever it is, it's people ask us a lot, especially when they see us interact when we get on Jill's live there. And she catches an adjustment in the middle of talking.
Yeah, if you ever want the rawest version of me and Ethan, it's my TikTok lives, probably. Other than being inside our house, which, with love, not all of you are welcome inside our house, but the next closest thing is my TikTok lives.
But yeah, it's a good question, and I think I'll let Jill at least answer some of hers first because I've been at this for a while.
Yeah, it's cool to watch people put the pieces together. I had a question come through on Instagram that asked how did I know I was a brat? And I said in the answer, this is something we'll answer on the podcast. Not that I don't want to share about it on my coaching page, but it is still a coaching page. And that's why we have a space like the podcast to talk about these topics. And it's far easier to talk about than type it out. So just know you're always welcome to throw those questions in my question box on Instagram, but I'm probably going to redirect you here for a longer form, safer place.
You might get a quick little tidbit about us, but it is easier to do it here where we can give a real answer. Social media is social media. Everybody allows you to see what you are allowed to see. And here you get the much more direct and raw, even though I will edit them and I edit every episode. I would say you get 95% of our rawest content. There's stuff that we say that's off clip or just doesn't fit or stutter or technical difficulty or some shit we lose, whatever it is. But we want you guys to have access to authentic information that we share with lived experience in a slightly more intimate setting where we're sitting on our couch talking to you guys right now. It's easier to share here than to do it there, to type it out or to try to shoot a story real quick and get all of it in a minute.
Yeah, just as a little like disclaimer, because I've done that a few times of getting a question come through and being like, yeah, I'll talk about this on the podcast. It's not to like brush off your question. It's just like, this is a better space to be able to answer those questions than through my Instagram stories. How did I know I was a brat? Like, to an extent,
it wasn't it was not my fault. I held the space for her to figure it out.
Pre-Ethan, I didn't. But like, I knew I had an attitude. And I think that's like step one.
I also think that was probably like the first thing that really attracted you to me outside of like genuine kindness was the first time I pushed back against you. And it didn't take vocalization.
What do you mean by didn't take?
Remember when we were in Stu's basement, one of the earliest times that we hung out, and we were joking back and forth, and I just like looked over at you, and your whole being was like, I should have told you I could do that. Yeah. You remember that? Yeah. So that mostly that it was just a natural interaction, and in that moment, it was for me, it was okay. And even in that moment for you going the other way, is that what the hell was that?
Yeah. And I think like up until Ethan, I just knew I had an attitude. And I knew it always bothered me when like the men I would date wouldn't do anything with my attitude. And again, saying like I don't think I knew I was a brat. I wasn't looking for them to like set rules or put me in my place or like live that life necessarily, because I didn't really know about it at the time. But it was more so like, when you like make fun of someone, poke fun at somebody, and they say nothing back, and you're like, well, now I just feel mean. I never felt mean, but I was like, you've ruined the game. Like, it's not fun. If I like, some girls would feel bad. I was just like, well, that's no fun. Like, you have nothing to like.
You and Emily get along. This is Emily saying her poke at all of the boys she goes on dates with.
Yeah, like you have
chase them away.
You have nothing to say back to me. You have nothing to like, haha, joke around with. Like, it would be. I used to always, when me and Ethan were walking, and I still do it, I'll like run into him every once in a while on purpose, and it would be like if I did that to a guy, and then they just like kept walking, I'd be like, bro, nothing. So I always just found like boredom in that of not having that back and forth. And then, yeah, with Ethan, it was just like him being able to look at me like that. I was like, oh, there's like a game to be played here for like, I think it was my first initial reaction of like, hold on, there's like something that can be done with this. And then it was less of I have an attitude and more of a like, how much can I get away with? And that's probably when it switched to more of like an attitude to being a brat, because it very much switched to like, wait, how many times can I poke the bear until something happens? And even for us, I think it started as like we would just like wrestle, or like I would like jump on you and you would like toss me onto the couch or like pin me to the ground or whatever. And it was more of like the actual
junior high violence
side of it first, of like.
But it was like it was that thing like coming around a corner. You jumped off of an elevated surface and I caught you. And that was also the first time you legitimately felt small.
Yeah. And it was like for me playing with like, how much can I get away with? What can I actually do in this space? And like, what is the consequence to my actions? And there was many times of like me getting put on my ass, and I would be like, I'm gonna do it again. And would like get up and always have a fight back. And I think we've talked about this before, I think, but like a big difference between a brat and a submissive is like he puts me on the ground and I'm like, let me up. I can do better next time. And I don't often, especially in the beginning, didn't have that like give up or like submit, because it was less of the like
Sexual part.
yeah, and more of the just like wrestling and playing and poking fun. So I could like bother him forever until I was actually pinned to the ground and couldn't move. And then I was like, okay, I guess I should give up now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's like a big piece of how I knew, was like I was always looking for a reaction. Like I wanted someone to like throw something back at me, to have something to say, to like put me in my place. I just didn't necessarily know what that like looked like or felt like until I just knew, I thought men were boring if they didn't like have that banter
Mm-hmm.
with me. And it was even like between me and Ethan dating the first time, and then because we were still monogamous, then I dated a different guy, and he was like by definition the nice guy. And he could still like joke with me, but it always felt like something was missing. Like I was like, there's no consequence. Like I can sit here and like poke fun at him all day and nothing's ever gonna happen to me. Like he might like throw a comment back at me or like make fun of me. And we did that often, but there was never like a full stop consequence, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
It was just like we could throw attitude back and forth and like banter back and forth forever, but I was never going to get put in my place by him. I could run with that forever.
Yeah.
And then it was just like something was missing, and I needed that like there's actually a line. You can either find it yourself or you can listen. What is basically my options most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just like felt, it's always been very natural with you. Like it's never, yeah, we've both had to like learn about each other, but it's never been like a how do we do this
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. It's always just like flowed that way with us, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's it.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Oh yeah, that's not my question.
Yeah, and I think like even when we were friends, there was always that like back and forth between us.
Mm-hmm.
Even yeah, it wasn't always sexual or wasn't always in like a formal dynamic, but there was always that like
Mm-hmm.
back and forth.
Yeah, it. Yeah, I get. Excuse me. Again, agree.
And I think it's one of my favorite things now when like Brian does it every once in a while. He'll like throw attitude at me. And then I like watch Ethan react. And it's anytime somebody new like throws attitude at me. And once I know them well enough, I'm like, you want to play this game? And Ethan's like, you probably don't want to play this game. Because when you don't know me, like there's a side of me that is very much like a sit back, observe, catch the vibes of like, do I trust you? Do I like you? Do I want you to know me? And then eventually, once I've made that decision, like you can catch attitude too. And it's not my fault if you have nothing to do with it. So Brian
Mm-hmm.
catches my attitude every once in a while, and it's like he can like shrug it off, laugh, move on, usually has something back to say. But whenever somebody new like tosses attitude at me, I'm like, oh, you think this is reserved just for Ethan? It's not. It's just you can't do anything about it in the same way he can.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's also part of the fun of navigating life, seeing you navigate life and find your own rhythm with how you get to brat and exist in this world. And it's not necessarily just a mask you put on or something you put on. It is through and through who you are. And anybody can catch the smoke. And people do, whether you think they can push back on you or not. Everybody can. And it's very similar over here. Like everybody can catch the smoke for me as a dominant. Male, female, anything in between. Uh, if you're going to toss your brat at me, it's just a game. It's always just, that's the point. That's the dance of the power dynamic, is sussing out, are you actually a brat? Because like a brat will go down swinging for the valor of swinging. and as a brat tamer and as a dominant, like it for me, that's one of my favorite games. Like because I don't have to flex 100%. What's the point of flexing 100% of my power? I save that for real threats. Like you can poke the bear, and I will put out enough energy to put you in your place at this level. And if you choose to escalate it, which this one loves it, will always escalate. Then you get the next level of here's your place. And if you're gonna like, it's the dance is to do the dance for as long as possible. It's not about the outcome. It's how long can I make this dance go with this person, with this brat, with whoever. So everybody can catch it when people come into the house. If they're going to throw attitude and joke with us,
And I always throw a disclaimer to people like, I'm like, I can only help you so much. Like, I will be your best friend. Like, a big thing I'm looking for is like, and I say it half joking all the time, is I'm like, I just want somebody on my team. Like, I've yet to meet another like through and
genuine
through brat that like will put up a fight the same way as me. But like, that's fine. This is also how I know I'm a brat. Like, I'll do it by myself. It would just be cool if I had somebody doing it with me. But like, if you guys don't want to help me, I'll do it myself. It's fine. But I like joke with people all the time. Like when they throw attitude or they watch, it's typically when people like watch me brat first and then they're like decide to be brave and do it themselves. I'm like, do your thing, but like I can only help you so much. Like no matter which way you swing it, I'm 5'4" and not that heavy. So like I promise I will be your best friend and like fight the fight with you. But like you gotta be willing to catch a smoke the same way I do, or else like don't start the game.
Yeah, Emily, my other partner, says she doesn't poke the bear because she's seen what happens when Jill does, and she's not built for it. And like, it's not like anything bad happens to Jill; she loves it. But like, she can go flying through the air as easily as that remote control can. It's not that different for me.
A big difference between me and a lot of people is I'm very durable. Like I will just like I'm fine. I will get up. I will.
Like, what did we roll over the other day? The fucking treadmill. Like, I
Yeah.
still have bruises all up and down the sides of my leg. Like,
But it's
ever
also
so often, we're like, "Why do you have a bruise here?" I was like, "What did we hit? How many times have we fought?" It's like, "Oh no!" When you pushed me into the counter, like I caught the doorknob on the back of my arm or some shit. Like,
yeah. So it's just like
it's always in the kitchen. It's like the biggest
there's a
open
lot of
space we
things to run
have.
into. Yeah, and I think like it's been interesting to kind of suss out like people that think they're a brat and then they walk into our space and I'm like, oh, you're not. And that's not like no one is better or worse. There's not like a better or worse
No,
type of submissive. It's just like people think that way until they see it happen. And it's just like the way people behave around Ethan, I think is the way I want to say that, of like watching them be in our house, more specifically around Ethan's energy. I can usually be like, oh, you're not a brat. And that's fine. But I think people have an idea of it. And then they're
yeah,
like,
I think that a big part of like understanding these dynamics is also not turning to Hollywood and not turning to these other places where it's kind of bastardized and ruined, and you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
mm-hmm.
Like, it's bratting is because like everybody wants to fight, and it's like, yeah, but everybody doesn't want to fight. Somebody just like says it's fun because it looked fun one time, but like Jill pokes at me in as many ways as she sees fit till she gets what she wants out of me, and that's the reaction. The rest of the time is spent complaining that I'm reacting before she's done anything. Like when I get up and I see a towel, then she's not paying attention. Like she's getting a real solid whip across the cheeks, like just because it's fun, because it tickles me. Because then she pouts about, what did I do? It's like, you are this way all the time. I don't
Yeah.
like you poke at me, so this is me poking at you. Oh no, here, take a weapon, please. Let's play. Have your own towel. Yes. Oh, please hit me. Yes, little one, hit me. Oh, can you hurt me? Come on and bring it. Like it becomes like it's come on. But like in those moments, like that's exactly what Jill signed up for. Is this the power struggle, the power exchange, the power dynamic at any time? Jill will almost. I can almost guarantee she'll never outpain me. That's not a brag. That's a fact. My job's not to get outpained by my brat or submissive. It's to be able to push her limits as far as she's trying to push mine.
Yeah. And I think there's a big difference between like me being a brat and wanting that and like maybe some of the ideas other people have, like maybe they just want to feel small, maybe they
Feel
want to
small.
feel controlled,
And
maybe
some of it, a big part of it is that some people just like rough sex, and that's absolute. I get it. I just had this conversation the other day, in conversation of coffee, and then again when we were here about the difference between breath play and choking. Choking is the sexual act of restricting someone's airway to assert force and dominance over them, create a fear and power control in the moment at the physical act of sex. Breath play is proving that you have control over somebody's life, but is they trust you with it. Like I don't know how to say it in a calmer term. It's the monumental difference. But when people like Jill jokes and will sneak up behind me, and my only defense is to grab her by the neck and be able to turn myself, and people are like, "What the?" And then Jill starts to giggle, and they're like, "What the?" And it's because I know that about her. I know that at any point in time in the day, I could grab her by the throat and we could be in a scene, and we are exactly where we want to be. I've never missed with that. I've never caused fear and harm for her ever. It's the agreement we have. It's one of the greatest things that we have is that ability to communicate freely at any point in time, share on the go, and move through it. The difference when you walk in and think that choking and breath play are the same thing is alarming. When you learn it real time, it isn't. We don't play in front of people. Take a breath. We goof off in front of people.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing that I've noticed just like observing others is like their actual intent with it. Like I'm like, oh, you're not a brat, but you do want to feel small, or you do want to surf, or you do want to do these other pieces that like I also do, but like in a not even in a different way. Like they're pieces of what I do, but
Jill is
it's
still a
not.
submissive. This is the other side to this conversation is Jill is still a submissive. I couldn't look at her that way and have her get small if she wasn't submissive. There's
I'm good. Continue your story. Tell your story.
yeah, so it, Jill is still, as you can tell, very submissive in the right moments, but like the rest of the time is spent pushing back against me in the power fight. But this is still as equally relaxing and gratifying, fulfilling as the other times when she goes flying through the air for talking shit or for looking at me wrong or whatever it may be. Equally, Jill is submissive and enjoys this part of it. There's nothing that she enjoys more in the moment. And in the very next moment, yeah, it's back to the shit for no reason. And that's the ebb and flow of this dynamic, the one that we have. But its root in Jill's being is she would not be here if I didn't give her the taming fight that she's looking for on the other side of being brat and being submissive. Those two are one and the same. I have to feed them both. Brat first, this side second. I go through the brat to get to this side. This is the side that most, if not all, submissives crave. Is this moment of peace, this moment of here. But like the initial push, the initial grind for brats is that you're gonna earn this space from me. Show me that you're worth giving this space to. So here I be taming the pain in the ass for the moment she curls up on my chest in a little ball and surrenders peacefully to me in the moment in those spaces. Those are equal moments for me. That's part of being her dominant. As I put her to sleep.
Yeah, and like there's many even pieces throughout the day that like pass as vanilla that are still uh like making Ethan breakfast or like doing those little things like to the naked eye those are just like us living life, and to an extent it
When I
is.
bring Jill coffee in the morning, those are everyday normal people vanilla
Yeah.
things that we still do, but in appreciation for the life that we live together and the spaces we share and hold and navigate together. It's
Yeah, like all of those play into our dom sub dynamic too. Like add to it, play into it. I don't know,
all of the
whichever
above.
word. But yeah, to the naked eye, it's just like that's two people living life. So, yeah, I think there's pieces like when other people walk in here where I'm like, oh, you were actually looking for this piece of it, which is still a piece, but like comes across very differently being a brat than like a
Yeah, I
different type
found
of
at
submissive.
least in the last year, especially sort of navigating the communities, is more people that are aware that they're searching to understand if they are a brat. if bratting is what they actually want out of being submissive. And because it does look fun up front, like there's more excited energy exchange. Like I don't know how to, like, not in the haha way, but in like the uppity way. Like she goes flying through the air. There's towel whip sounds in here every other day. There's screaming and giggling and like there's so much noise in here all the time. It's lots of energy. But when you don't have a safe space to try that stuff out, like it's a curiosity that remains a curiosity for most people. And I found, and I've had more conversations about the curiosity of am I a brat than I have about somebody who's been a board certified across the board brat. Um, which is also, which to my to the reason I'm saying this is because it's a step in the right direction of people not claiming labels for themselves without knowing what it really means. Um, it's the same way I say, like, I don't have a submissive bone in my body. I've thought about it, and I used to. There's an evolution. There's a time in my life, a very early time in my life, that I for sure was submissive. And taking back my own power in my own story was learning that I am actually dominant. And learning that came from stepping into the community directly and willfully under my own power at 19, and walking into knowing that uh, one of my partner's girlfriends, we'll call them, at 18, mentioned that I might be dominant. It was just a way that I present. And having known BDSM already in my life, it wasn't that hard to kind of dive into it. It wasn't that I knew it, it's that when I walked into this life, I got to uh, chill with a mentor for the first 2 years. And in the first coffee with them, it was like a board sort of like, you are dominant by nature. And we're going to foster whatever that looks like for you as you go. It'll be an open end fostering of whatever this space looks like for you. And as I got into it, right away, it was understanding for me that I have no power as a dominant until a submissive gives it to me. Agrees to play, agrees to scene, agrees to relationship connection with me. I'm 200 pounds, 6 foot, attitude, anger, size, power, all of the things, strength, speed, agility, accuracy, hand-eye, an ability to control my voice, solid mental health. I have the things that make me a great dom on paper. But that shit is rendered useless if it doesn't come with a safe space for a submissive to give that power to me. Until that agreement happens, and all of that shit's rendered useless. Until the boundaries are set, all of that shit's rendered useless. And anything outside that boundary is rendered useless in that relationship. I learned that really early. And that was something for me that I knew was always going to keep me safe. Was something that I knew I needed to foster deeply in myself to really understand what I was doing with people, for people, to people, and to myself. So I've been at kink for 30 of my 34 years, unfortunately, in some horrific ways. And if you've been listening and following along, it's no shock to you. If you haven't, you're uncomfortable, which is cool. I understand. I'm sorry that you're just learning about that. But that's why I said willfully and like walked into my own kink story, BDSM story at 19. Yeah, so I've been at this a very long time and done a lot of learning and a lot of growth and a lot of evolution, especially in the last 5-10 years, but really in the last 5. Yeah, it's the draw to understanding energy between people, to know that this world is way more fun without actually having to touch people first, to create space and energy, like foreplay in normal life, in vanilla sex. The foreplay aspect of the physical act starts well outside the bedroom if you know and do it correctly. Kink and BDSM is no different. That safety, that bond, that connection, just endlessly adds to what you're capable of doing as a unit, as a collaborative, as individuals. My skills as a dominant don't just come from what I've practiced physically. Like I'm great at a lot of things. I have a wide array of talents. but when the connection is on, like I am capable of doing incredible things with people if the connection is strong, and vice versa. I'm capable of holding space for people to do incredible things for themselves. So it's, yeah, understanding that early on made it something very beautiful for me really early, in a place where I was really dark and it was really ugly for me in a lot of ways. This thing never was never that. With all of the darkness around me, this life, this world, this space was some of the brightest. It was the easiest to navigate and exist, and to make some of that early work very, very simple. To put down my own trauma and to be able to work and hold space with people and connect in ways that I didn't know was possible at that point in life, opened the door for the dominant and person, the man that I am today. And it's, yeah, without having the mentor I had in that moment, I don't think I'd be half the dominant I am. At least not nearly as safe as I am, because I would have had to go other places to learn, and that would have been worse. Like learning how safe I need to be at all times uh, keeps everybody I play with safe in very intimate, very deep ways. So I owe a lot of respect and honor and love to that person. Still do. I don't have any contact with them. Unfortunately, life we drifted apart, but I'm forever grateful for those opportunities, as I learned so much about myself and what this world can hold. And as I learned and healed in my own mental health, right before Jill and I met the first time, it opened the door for more understanding of myself as a dominant, as what I can offer people in that space, and began, tiptoeing into teaching and educating, especially on the energetic side, the mental health side of what kink and safe kink and BDSM can be and should be.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece for both of us, but especially like, and I've talked about this before, but especially with females, it's such like a hush hush, don't talk about topic. And I wish that somebody told me earlier that it's not just about what happens in the bedroom, because I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people get very tied to that, and that makes sense. It's the most like profitable
Yep.
side
Good way to say
of
that.
it. um we all know sex sells, and I just think that's also why it's become, and I think it's better now, but has always been such a taboo topic, has always been such a thing that like people don't talk about, and like what happens in the bedroom stays in the bedroom and blah blah blah. um but learning that this is so much more than just what happens in the bedroom has been something that's cool to explore and freeing to explore, and just something I wish more people knew about, something I wished I was talked to about younger. Would I have done anything with it? Maybe not, but I think that's a big reason why I will talk about it now and have conversations with my clients about it. Just because it's such a big piece of life. Like sexual health is still health,
Mm-hmm.
and a big piece of like our mental health comes from that, comes from the confidence within that. And I just think, yeah, if more people knew it's not just about what happens in the bedroom, you would learn there's probably another side to a lot of us that
Mm-hmm.
we just ignore, shove down, things like that. And as much as we say, like, once you know, you can't unknow, like, I see people try to ignore that side of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something Ethan and I talk about
Yeah.
often, where we're just like, you can't. Like that's gonna come out one way or another. Like especially if you've like dabbled in it, you've explored it, you've thought about it for too long, like it's gonna show up eventually, or you're gonna spend the rest of your life trying to ignore it
Mm-hmm.
when you don't have to. Even if it's not something in the bedroom for you, like it can still be a part of your life that allows you to express and build confidence and do your thing.
It's so free. Genuinely and honestly, the more I learn about myself as a dominant, the more free I am, the more things that become easily passed over, passed on, worked through. A lot of my own work gets done when I get to create a scene for Jill with Jill. Um, there's a lot of work and energy that goes into not just creating a safe space, but to really holding the air in scenes, especially when I when we're pushing your pain and your limits. like when you're pushing people's limits, you have to really be able to hold space for the pain. As a trauma survivor, a big part of knowing healing is knowing that you're going to have to go through pain. There is no healing without it. Absolutely nowhere in this goddamn life. And to say, what does Jill have to heal? It's not necessarily about healing an event or a specific wound. It's always about growth. If it's one thing I can notice, and I notice almost every time when we've actually pushed and reached a new height for Jill, is how close and deep she tries to crawl into my skin after. And it just is a testament to another layer of connections been drawn because we were able to go to a deeper space, into a deeper level of pain, into a deeper meditation together, crafted that way, and searched and sought, found and rested in together as a unit. So there's a lot of honor and space and healing for myself being able to draw someone into my own story as much as they are sharing their own story with me. It's again that dance, that powerful dance between two people. It's one of my favorite things about this life and about this space that I get to hold with Jill and will get to hold with other people, have held with other people.
Yeah, and it's even something we use like as much as our like towel fights in the kitchen are a joke and things like that. Like it's also a tool to take a break
To
sometimes.
decompress.
Like even when we're having a day, either of us are having a day, like it's something we can draw on to just like get out of our own heads for even 5 minutes in the kitchen
You
or
guys hurt each other for fun and to decompress? Yes.
but even like
Like
a
willfully
quick
and
like
honestly, yes.
a quick wrestle, like even if it's not a pain thing, like just to take a break and
It's always a
play.
pain thing. She lies to you. It's all listen.
Well, one
It
of
no
us.
no
It's
no
one of us.
no 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 no. For the
Well,
don't touch me with those fingers
it ends up as a
of
pain
doom.
thing for me because you pinch.
No, that's such bullshit.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
And she goes, okay, she's a little fuck. She digs her little bony ass fuck you fingers in between my ribs at first go. There's no in between, there's no prior. It's the only thing she does. And there's never not wrestling otherwise. We could be nicely hugging, and at the moment she drops her shoulders, I'm going for her wrist because I know where she's headed. She's like, it's not rant. It's every fucking day.
You already gave your stats. He's 6 feet, 200 pounds. What else am I supposed to do?
No, this isn't because you have stats. You try to lie to these people like it's a reaction. No, it's the go-to only thing she does. I don't even get hugs half the time. It's just straight for the ribs.
Oh my god. You're so dramatic. I hug you regular all the time.
And then go for the ribs. Like there's no peace. Holy fuck.
You'll never know peace again.
Never, ever. That's okay. You'll never know a not bruised body.
That's okay.
Like literally. Like I just beat to shit. Every day, something new on my body and yours. Like I've got that's very similar. I'm gonna start to not bruise here soon. This is one of her go-to bites when she comes really hard.
It's right there.
I know. I think that's our show. I think it's just gonna get worse from here. Thank you so much for joining us. You know where to fucking find us. Shifting the Lens podcast everywhere. I am Ethan. Fight me on this. Also everywhere.
I'm Jill. I coach Jill.April.
If you want to support my modeling, find me at Sir Lifts, also on Instagram.
And you can find the podcast at Shifting the Lens Podcast on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
Everywhere, really.
And
guys.
anywhere you listen to your pod.
Yeah. Catch up. Share, please. Ask your questions. Talk to us. Yeah, I love you guys.
Bye.